CIT 1121, Packet Tracer 1193, VLSM design and implementation. Very similar to what we did in the last Packet Tracer, but this time we have different sizes of networks. And what they're going to ask us to do is go ahead and subnet these down as best we can and figure out how many addresses we're going to need per network. And we're going to give us 256 total addresses to work with. So the subnet that we have to start with is 172.31.1030/24, which is going to give us the space in the fourth octet between 0 and 255. Now we got to make 5 networks. And the easiest way to do this, the easiest way, is to find the biggest networks and assign the addresses to the biggest networks first, and then assign the addresses to the smaller networks in order as you get further and further down. Okay, so for instance here, we're going to take the largest network that we have, space that we have, is over here. Is this network off of remote site 1, where we need 27 hosts. So if we need 27 hosts, we're going to do exactly what we did in the last exercise, and we're going to make that a /27, which is going to give us 32 addresses per subnet. So let's go ahead and write out that network first. I'm going to go here. I'm just going to put that in here at the bottom. 192.168. Whoops, that is not true. 172.31.103.0. That is a /27. That'll give us 32 addresses. Those addresses will be between 0 and 31. Now, that one is set. So we've used 0 to 31. We have another network over here off of remote site 1 for switch 2. And this one needs 25 hosts. So once again, same size, good fit. Good fit is 32 addresses. So we'll do the next 32 addresses over here. So 172.31.103.32/27. And that's going to give us a usable range, or a total range, of 32 through 63. Great. First 2 down, let's go to the third network that we need to set up. So it says that we can now assign the networks across the top, and the next largest network is over here with user 3. So let's assign this the third network available, or the next space that we have. Now this one only needs 14 hosts, so 32 addresses is a good size, but we could make it a little bit less. We could make it a little bit less. So the third network would be the third largest network, 14 hosts. We could make that a /16. That doesn't even leave us any room for adding any more devices, but it doesn't say they're going to add any more. So let's make that one a /28, and we'll just use 16 addresses. Now, here's the thing. If you start with the largest networks first, and then you go down to the smaller ones, the next available IP address will always be usable as the network ID of the following network. Gosh, I don't know if that made any sense. Let's just type it in. 172.31.103.64 was the next available address. There's going to be a /28, and that's going to give us addresses 64 through 79 is how far we're going to get on that one. So 64 to 79 is going to be the usable space that we have here. Okay, great. And then the next network is 8 hosts. Well, 8 hosts means that we would have to have 16 addresses again, because if there's 8 hosts, I can't use a subnet of 8 because I need one for the network and one for the broadcast. So we do the same thing here. So we go 172.31.103.80, and that's going to be a /28. And the usable space that we'll have here is going to be 80, or total space, 80 through 95 would be the total space that we have there. And that gets us to the final network that we need to create, which is just point-to-point. So as we go between these networks, the next available address would be 96. We'll use 96 to 99. So 172.31.103.96, and that's going to be a /30, because I only need two addresses, 4 total, but 2 for interfaces. So that's going to give me, my usable space is going to be, or total space is going to be 96 through 99, and we'll use 97 on router 1 and 98 on router 2, and it'll totally work. All right, cool. All right, so all of the space has been set up. I'm following really step 1 here. Divide this up, first subnet into the largest, second subnet into the second largest, third into the third largest, fourth into the fourth largest, and then the fifth in between the 2 networks, which we did. Sounds good. Document. I don't have a pen to document, so we'll just go down to step 3, more documentation, and then we'll go to assigning in part 3. Let's just head on down to part 3. Step 1, configure IP address on the remote site 1 router interface LANs. Step 2, configure switch 3. Step 3, configure user 4 PC. And step 4, go ahead and validate connectivity. We'll do step 1, 2, and 3 right now. We'll go ahead and go through those. So step 1 is configure the router here. So let's take a look at this router. Remember, we're going to use the first address for the router in any given subnet. So let's go ahead and click on router 1. And let's figure some things out here. So let's go en and config t. And the first thing I want to do is I got to figure out which interface is which. I have 2 downed interfaces and 1 up serial interface. But my Ethernet interfaces are both down. There's a couple different ways to figure this out. If you can't get the labels to pick up, which happens a lot in this version of Packet Tracer for whatever reason, then just turn one of the interfaces on and then configure that one first. So let's do that. So we're at global config. Let's go to int g0/0. We know g0/0 is either connected to switch 1 or switch 2. The easiest way to find out, just do a no shut, and whichever one comes on, and you can see the one on switch 1 connected, that is G0/0. So let's give it the first address in that space. So IP address 172.31.103.1. 255, 255, 255, 224. And we got a couple of points for that. So that's pretty good. And now we're ready to do interface G0/1. So int G0/1. We might as well do this one backwards too. Let's just do a no shut. Watch the red triangles turn to green. And they just did. Cool. And that network is 172.31.103.32. So the IP address we're going to put on the router interface is going to be 33. So IP address 172.31.103.33. It's a /27, so 224 for that. And that is done. All right, since we're here, let's do the link between the 2 routers. That one is network is 172.31.103.96. I'm just going to do a quick exit here, just for fun. I'm going to do show IP int brief, just for giggles, just to show you that I've got some interfaces that are already configured. And hey, wait a minute, what's going on here? Serial 000 is already configured, 172.31.103.97. That's what I was going to use. So this one's already set. There's nothing else we have to do here. So sometimes you can do a show IP int brief, and you figure out you don't have to do everything for the lab. So go ahead and close that one out. I think that we're in pretty good sorts. The next thing we want to set is the switch 3. Remember, we're going to do interface VLAN 1. The subnet we're going to use is 172.31.103.64. So I'm going to click on switch 3. And we're going to use, remember, the second usable IP address. Interface VLAN 1 IP address 172.31.103.64 is my network ID, 65 is my router, 66 will be my switch, and that is a /28, so it's going to be 255.255.255.240. And that looks pretty good, and we'll do a no shut on that. And we're looking pretty good, so that's pretty good. The switch, we also need a default gateway, so we're at global config now. I just did an exit, and from global config, we're going to do the IP default gateway command, IP default router. Default gateway is 172.31.103. This network is 64, so 65 would be my router interface there. So I click on that. That should get me into good space there. So we definitely set up our default gateway, and that's all we need for switch 3. And the last device we need to set up is user 4. Go ahead and select user 4. User 4 has the network 172.31.103.80. And we're going to use the last available address in that space, and that total space is 80 to 95. So the usable space is 81 to 94. So we're going to make this 94. So this one's 72.31.103.94 is our last address. Our subnet mask is going to be 255.255.255. And that's a /28, so that's going to be a 240. And the first available address would be the default gateway assigned, so that one's going to be 81. So 172.31.103.81. And we should be at 100%. All right, fantastic. See you in the next lab.